let's start with the new one, miracle number 28. And again, these miracles, we also, one of our objective is try to know more about people, learn more information about the life of Rasulullah Sallallahu Alayhi Wasallam, and also the companions involved in these miracles. So in this particular miracle, Waleemah of Zainab Bint Jahsh radiallahu anha, this happened in 5th Hijri year, after he migrated to Medina, in Dhul Qada, just 1 month before the Dhul Hijjah, the end of the year. And Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam married her, Zainab bint Jahsh radiallahu anha. But a little bit of background before I get into the actual miracle. Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam had an aunt, the paternal aunt. Her name was Umaymah, and she had a daughter, and that daughter was Zainab. So basically, Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam and Zainab are now cousins, right? They are cousins. So she was actually married to someone else. The adopted son of Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, his name was what? Zayd bin Harith radiallahu anhu. He was actually married to Zainab radiallahu anha. And that marriage, however, didn't work out. So they, the marriage lasted only 1 year, and Zayd ibn Harith ended up divorcing her. And obviously the scholars give many reasons, one of them being both of them were from different backgrounds and they were incompatible with each other, because the brought up was different. He was a slave, and he had a different way of looking things, and Zainab, of course, was from a very noble family, and her brought up was different. So marriage is not just about two good people getting together, it's about being compatible with each other, right? Sometimes we see even the masajids, many masajids, they're two pious brothers and they still fight, right? They end up fighting because they're not compatible. So this happens, the compatibility, not everybody is compatible with everybody, but it doesn't mean there is something wrong with it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created us that way. If we don't like fish, for example, we don't like it. There is nothing much we can do about it. Anyways, when Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, he tried to reconcile the marriage, but it didn't work out, and that ended up in divorce. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala then commanded Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam that he marry Zainab radiallahu anha. That was a command from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And the reason why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commanded was that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wanted to break one tradition which was very common during that time. The problem was that those Arabs, pagan Arabs, they used to consider the adopted son equal to the son. In fact, this is common in many cultures, even today in many countries. So, but in Islam, that's a serious issue. You can't do that because it will have very serious complications, especially like when you are dividing the inheritance, for example. Son and daughters, they have major shares. We'll cover this topic, inshallah, after this series, the inheritance one. But the thing here is that adopted sons, adopted daughters do not get any share from the prescribed shares. They are not qualified for inheritance unless there was some other bequeathal or something. But generally speaking, they do not get any inheritance. And so here the issue was, in Islam, of course, once your son is married, you can never marry the daughter-in-law. You can never marry a daughter-in-law. Same thing applies for the son-in-law, in case of the man or a woman. So what happened was, actually this thing applies until the day of judgment, because you cannot, even if the son dies or gets divorced, you cannot marry the daughter-in-law in any case. In any scenario, it's not possible. So pagan Arabs used to apply this rule even to the adopted son, and that's exactly what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wanted to break. So now, since Zayd ibn Harith was adopted son, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commanded that once she completes her iddah of the divorce, whatever that period is, she has to wait, and then Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam should go and marry her. But there was something interesting about this marriage. whenever a marriage is performed, we first have this nikah contract session, right? You offer and you accept. You say, I accept this marriage proposal and so on. So that's called nikah ceremony. With Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam in this particular marriage, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was himself who conducted the marriage, who conducted the nikah in the heavens itself. So that was very special. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam didn't have to do the nikah ceremony at all for her. So he just approached her and he said, we are married, let's go. So that was how the marriage was. It was very special. And that's why she used to boast in front of other wives that, in your marriage, your parents gave to you, to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, but in my marriage, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was the one who conducted it. So that was her special marriage. So anyways, so what happened was, when they got married, and Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam told everybody that I got married to her. So Sulaim, who was one of the very famous female companion, radiyallahu anha, she wanted to give something to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So she made some famous food there, which is made of like date flour and butter. So she made something and put in an earthen vessel, and she sent it as a gift to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam with her son. Who was her son? Very famous companion, Anas ibn Malik radiyallahu anhu, who was one of the highest narrators of hadith, top 10. So when Anas ibn Malik, he was the servant too, that's correct. Sulaim gave Anas ibn Malik as a servant. So Anas ibn Malik brought this earthenware as food gifts from her mother and gave it to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam told him that, Anas, you go to these people and invite them to eat this food that you got. And he said, whomever you meet in the way, just call them as well. So now Anas was thinking, this is just a small earthenware. How many people am I going to call? But he has to obey the command of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So he went and he called all those people, and whomever he met in the middle, he also invited them. And 300 people showed up. 300 people showed up. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam told Anas that take this pot and keep it there, and tell people to make circles of 10 people. So they made the circle and they started eating it one by one, every group by group. So first 10 and then 10. They went on like that. For all 300 people ate one after another, and every one of them just didn't taste it. They ate it like up to their fill. Everybody was like full. So that was one miracle. And Anas ibn Malik radiyallahu anhu, he said that when everybody was done, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam told me, lift it. So when I tried to lift this earthenware vessel, I couldn't say for sure whether it was more in the beginning or now. So basically nothing changed, and he was feeling that maybe it's more now. So that was one amazing miracle. This is recorded, by the way, in Sahih Muslim. Sahih Muslim.